Howdy, howdy, folks. Hit the big wide strum, pal. Hello, everybody. How do you do? We're here to sing and play for you.
So talking about your studio in your home.
Yeah.
And it makes me think about, of course, the pizza tapes.
Okay, yeah.
I was wondering what really happened that night. There's so much legend around that moment, and who took the tapes and the pizza guy.
Oh, well, that part I don't know. The night, I mean, the way they got made was I was working on a project. I had an idea to do an album, a CD of with Tony Rice, great guitar player, of the sounds of various what you call vintage instruments, and each song had a different pair of interesting old instruments. And so I had all these guitars and all these mandolins, 17 mandolins, 17 guitars made it onto the album. And Jerry had never really met Tony Rice, so I told him about it. I said, drop by if you want, you know. And he came by, and we were all set up another microphone, and we just jammed. He said, hey, you know, why don't we do some jamming, you know? And he came for 2 nights, and we played all this stuff. And you know, I just figured it was worth it to record. You know, I didn't have any project in mind for that. I figured, well, maybe I'll get a couple of tracks I can use somewhere, you know. But it was worth the tape, you know. So I had all this stuff, and I think DB Dave, Decibel Dave, the engineer, I think he made everybody cassettes, 90-minute cassettes. And I think Tony Rice had one, and Jerry had one, and I had one. And I don't know, some length of time went by, and all of a sudden I heard that WBAI in New York, big FM radio station, got a hold of this, probably a copy of one of these cassettes. It's the only way I can figure it happened, and played the whole thing on the radio. Well, then, for several years, it just was circulating, you know. And yeah, and in fact, every once in a while, people would come up, you know, at gigs and ask me to sign these tapes and stuff, and I'd get pissed off. And I think the Grateful Dead found a whole load of, somebody was bootlegging CDs of it, you know. And they, I think, confiscated a whole, like thousands of them. And, you know, a few years went on, and I had a guy named Rob Bleedstein was working for Acoustic Disc as promotion man. He's the guy that invented the Americana. He used to work for the, what's that radio list, famous radio, a chart, I can't. No, it was some guy that had his own independent, put out a magazine every month or week, or anyhow, he kept saying, man, you ought to put out those tapes of you and Jerry. And you know, some people called it the pizza tapes, or I guess, yeah. There was 2 stories about what happened. How one was that a pizza delivery boy, either Jerry gave him this tape or he swiped it off his kitchen counter. And the other rumor was that Jerry gave it to his scuba diving instructor in Hawaii. Anyhow, well, Rob Bleedstein convinced me we should put this out, you know. So, you know, one day, the reason is he brought me a copy of it, and I listened to it, and it sounded you know, the fidelity of it was terrible. It was just copies of copies, and just, And I had these really good sounding master tapes, you know, so I said, okay, and then I kind of, well, 90 minutes of this stuff has been out. I can't, that's more than a CD. What do I do? I was kind of wrestling with, should I do multiple CDs, or I decided just go with the creme de la creme. And so I made one CD and put it out, and it was really successful, and still is. And now we have the extra large 3 CD version. I don't know.